One of the biggest issues people have with decluttering is just doing it. I've heard that time and again from people in the comments or on these videos that they just can't get started, they're just not motivated. Well, today I want to talk to you about the true cost of all that clutter that you're living with. Hi everybody, my name is Dee Burks and this is Retirement Rescue, where we talk about how to make money, save money, and create a retirement from nothing. Well, this is the summer of declutter, as most of you know. I'm doing a bonus video every Tuesday all summer long that talks specifically about decluttering. But what I want to talk to you today is about the idea of what all that clutter is really costing you. And those costs come in three main areas. And they are time, money, and emotional chaos. But let's start with time. It's easy to think that you don't have time to declutter. You're busy, you've got things to do, you just don't have time. But when you have a living space that's really cluttered, one of the things you spend a lot of your time doing is hunting for things. And you may tell yourself, oh, I know where that's at. But how many times has that object not been where you thought it was and you had to hunt for it? How many times have you had to hunt for a hammer, a nail, just to put up a picture? And it gets to the point, because it takes you time to hunt for things, you put off doing very simple things. You put off hanging a picture on a wall. You put off starting projects. You put off hanging new curtains. You put off thing after thing because getting all the stuff together to do it takes you so long. That is one of the biggest costs of clutter, is the time you spend by things not having a place. I've talked in many of these videos that the idea of clutter is just the fact that the things in your home don't have a specific place. That's why they're sitting all over, because they don't have their own home. They don't have their own space. And that is what creates the clutter. But once that clutter is there, trying to find things is almost impossible sometimes. So that's one of the highest costs. You are actually spending more time looking for things than you would if your space was decluttered. Number two is money. And we're really going to talk about this one because this is a big one. It was a big one for me. How many times have you cleaned something and all of a sudden you have 8 tape measures, 9 pairs of scissors? How did that happen? Because when you tried to find it, you couldn't find it, so you went and bought another one. That's how you end up having multiple copies of the same thing. That costs you a lot of money. And when you start decluttering, you realize how much money that has cost you by rebuying things you absolutely already had. I have done this so many times I can't even. Oh my goodness. And y'all know what I'm talking about. I have even found a good book to read and thought, oh, this will be great. Set it somewhere, and then later found that same good book and bought it again. I've done that. We all do some of these things. Those of us who are clutter bugs and those of us who talk about decluttering, it's because we were clutter bugs, and we are. And so understanding the money that costs you is really important, because when things have a place and you know where they're at and you really can find them within seconds, you don't re-buy the same thing over and over again. This is one of those areas when we were helping my dad declutter his shop that we really talked to him about. Yes, he had 4 grinders, but they were in different areas of his shop. He didn't realize he had them, so he got another one. So that's one thing to realize, is when you start decluttering, you're going to find multiple versions of the same thing. And that is one of the ways that clutter has really cost you. That's money that could have been used for something else, could have been put toward retirement, could have been enjoyed, a vacation, whatever, but you kept buying the same thing over and over because you're cluttered. Number 3, emotional chaos. Now let's talk about this, because this covers a multitude of different areas. Number 1, when your house is cluttered, you tend to not be as social. You don't invite people over because it's cluttered. You really don't want to clean it up. You tend not to have gatherings at your house. You tend not to do any of that when it's really cluttered. You also dread, like seriously dread, decluttering things. It's easy to think in your mind it's going to take way more time than it does. And part of that is the emotional attachment you have to objects. When you find it difficult to let go of objects, decluttering can be torturous. It absolutely can be. That's when you need to find someone to help you, someone who's objective and patient while you work through those emotions. Because having things you're emotionally attached to that you can't get rid of causes a lot of stress. When you have a very, very cluttered environment, it makes you feel bad. It feels very heavy. Every time you look at it, you're like, oh, I should do something about this. But then you don't. How many times have you gone to a closet, opened the door, seen how stuffed it was, and just closed the door again? It's like, oh, I just can't today. Oh my gosh. Everybody feels that on occasion. You're not unusual that you feel that. But the solution for that is to take baby steps, to take those little steps to start getting you in the mindset of really decluttering your area over time. It's not a one-time thing. It's not a quickie solution like, oh, you're going to snap your fingers and it will magically all disappear. That's not how it happens. It didn't magically just appear. It took you sometimes years. And if you've lived in the same location, the same home for decades, oh, that clutter's been there a long time. So taking care of it takes a concerted effort on your part, and it's not an easy effort. One of the things I did this summer was put out the 100-item challenge, and that is to declutter 100 items in 7 days. It's in your house. It's a small, easily doable first step. And the reason I did that was so you don't get overwhelmed. That overwhelm can't be underestimated. You have so much clutter, you have so many things to do. Focusing on those small steps is how you get it done. It's that old idea of, well, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And your clutter is that elephant. It's sitting on your chest, holding you down, holding you back. But realize the longer that clutter sits there, even if it's been there for decades, the more it costs you in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of that emotional weight. And start today with something small. A closet, a drawer, your refrigerator. Start with something small and keep that ball rolling. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.